How's it going, everyone? Welcome back. Hope everyone's having a lovely day. Bengals Chiefs, what has become one of the most interesting, most exciting rivalries in football over the past couple seasons. You got the Chiefs obviously building their way into this modern day dynasty, if you will. A couple Super Bowls now. Last time they didn't go to the Super Bowl, really the only two times now this team hasn't won a Super Bowl was when Joe Burrow or Tom Brady slowed this team down. One pretty big name. Let's slow down a little bit. One pretty big name there. And Joe Burrow trying to obviously etch his way into being a historically very big name, going up there, knocking off Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. So obviously lots of eyes on this football game. Even last season, a Cincinnati Bengals team without Joe Burrow goes up against Kansas City, keeps the game in within one possession. Jake Browning and company, clearly the Bengals, one of the few teams in the league that have that rare combination of the defensive capabilities, schematic abilities out of Lou Anarumo and company to slow down the Chiefs enough to keep their football team in the game offensively. And then they have obviously the quarterback with the it factor, the ability to come back, win any football game, any point in time, and you can trust to put the ball in his hands. Well, most of the time. Mostly you trust. Last week, Zach Taylor trusted the defense with 2 minutes left on 4th and 5 to get the ball back. Anyway, not the point. Most of the time, you trust this team or trust this man with the football in his hands. He's going to find a way to win a football game, which is what we've seen against the Chiefs. We've seen these two back and forth. We've seen these back and forth games, these one possession games. Who gets the ball last type of games ends up winning it. It's been exciting. Even last season, again, no Joe Burrow. Chiefs go out there, kick 6 field goals. Lou Anarumo has looked like a genius in finding ways to slow down the Chiefs and keep his football team in games over the past couple seasons. Will he do it again this season? We'll see. The big question mark you have is Pacheco went for 7 yards per carry, 130 yards on the ground last season against this Bengals defense. A Bengals defense that just got sliced and diced on the ground against a New England Patriots team that was supposed to be one of the worst teams in the league this season. We'll say supposed to be because you never know. Still probably can end up like that. Bengals historically start out slow, but Gerard Mayo may end up being a heck of a coach, right? We've seen all one game out of this guy. We don't know what's in the foreseeable future for the Patriots. We'll give them a chance to kind of prove what they have the rest of the season before we make too many judgments. But from that game, Bengals got dominated in the trenches. And it's Kansas City Chiefs, as we know, not only do they have elite quarterback play, but they have the ability to dominate in the trenches. Sacked Jake Browning last season 6 times. Mixing 3 yards per carry. Again, Pacheco ran all over this defense. In a game, or in any game, let alone a game going up against what's the best quarterback in the league right now, you got to win in the trenches. You got to at least compete in the trenches. The Bengals did not do that last week. They did not do that last season. They have got to figure that out. But again, all in all, what lost them a game against the Patriots, what lost them a game against the Chiefs, is they got rid of the football in the 2-minute drill. Not by choice, but that's what they've been doing. That's been the Bengals' MO of the past is, hey, 2-minute warning, halftime, 2-minute warning, second half. Put the ball in your franchise quarterback's hands. They move the football down the field. They find a way to win football games. Frankly, as we've seen last week against the Patriots, they didn't do that. 2-minute drill, no football. 2.5 minutes left in the game, 4th and 5. Bengals say, we can't take the chance balls in our own territory. We're going to punt and rely on our defense that, again, has struggled to stop the run. What they haven't struggled to do, though, is, again, contain the damage of an elite quarterback in Patrick Mahomes. Will that be different now? Because I tell you what, Xavier Worthy, it's getting early. He only had a couple catches, but it sure does feel like how did the rest of the league let the Chiefs get this guy? And it sure does make me reminiscent of how Tyreek Hill was groomed into this league by the Kansas City Chiefs. He didn't just come onto the field and have 20 catches a game and end up being the best in the league. They kind of worked him into this dynamic speed receiver, deep threat, very dynamic guy. Get this guy just in the open space, get this man the opportunities to beat you with his legs, and they did that so freaking well. And now you see Xavier Worthy kind of working in the mix in that same exact way. And then you talk about Worthy. You see Rashee Rice. I expect him to take the big next step in his sophomore year this season. So far, we've seen in the first game up over 100 yards. Kansas City Chiefs, by the way, banner night, beat the Ravens 27-20. Looked really good. Got a lot of pressure in the face of Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson and company was playing with some new faces on that offensive line. Historically, that good offensive line play has been the MO of the Baltimore Ravens. We'll see again what happens to that team the rest of the season. Again, hard to make a lot of judgments week one, but you got to expect and say, hey, Kansas City getting a good push up front there. Something the Bengals best to be coming prepared for. They are coming into the league this season with a lot more continuity. 4 guys returning on the offensive line. For the Bengals, most continuity they really had entering a season. And it's really turned into same story, different season. Bengals got to find a way to keep Joe Burrow upright. Joe Burrow last week really didn't have much of a chance at all to stretch the ball down the field. We've seen a lot of dink and dumps. We did see a couple times where he kind of got rid of the ball quickly. But, when you get that pressure in your face a lot, sometimes that internal clock, it's clicking, it's ticking a lot faster. Let me just get rid of this football. So the Bengals have to find a way to stretch the ball down the field this week. That McDuffie Chase matchup, it's going to be an interesting one. Chase lost that one to him last season, but again, you did have a quarterback that wasn't really stretching a football down the field prior to that McDuffie matchup last season. It's really been all Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase has played exceptionally well. If you remember the big game he had when the Bengals came from behind and beat the Chiefs the first go-round. They got 2 go-rounds before that, right up around 100 receiving yards for Jamar Chase. He has shined brightly in the big games against the Kansas City Chiefs. Got to see more of that out of him this week. He got a full game in. He's got a full extra week of practicing. Is he ready to really take that next step? The Bengals did have about a bit of a snap count in the first half of last week's game. Can't speak here. First half of last week's game. Second half, he played pretty much all of them. So having him back is huge. T. Higgins coming back from that hamstring injury. I imagine it was taking their time with him so he could be here for Kansas City. Big one for them. And more importantly, what we see out of the tight end situation for the Bengals is going to be interesting because, again, all the attention is going to be on those 2 guys or 1 guy, depending on who plays. Gesicki last week, 17 snaps. Drew Sample, 25. Eric All, 12. And I think a lot of that has to do with just looking and say, well, Gesicki new into the lineup, kind of working his way in. Eric All, obviously, you get those rookie tight ends work their way into the lineup. I would expect to see them guys a little bit bigger dosage of those guys, especially if we start to see more 2 tight end sets that they can't protect Joe Burrow as well. And again, Gesicki, when he was on the field, 17 snaps, 17 routes he ran, he's seen the target share, about 25% of those. He had 4 targets, 3 receptions, making some big plays. He just missed the catch in the end zone. But overall, making some big plays. And I would expect him to work his way into this offense more and more because he can be a dynamic player, a good offensive weapon for Joe Burrow, and just a little extra cog in the wheel that can make things challenging for defenses to game plan against. One thing I'd really like to say of the Bengals this week, though, we talked about Xavier Worthy and how they're incorporating him into this this offense, I should say. Kind of seen it on Jaden Reed. As well, where you're getting your fast guys involved. I want to see Chase Brown, Jermaine Burton ran 4 routes last week. I want to see these guys get more involved. And definitely Chase Brown, that type of guy that can just take over the house at any point in time. I want to see some gadget plays. I want to see some trickery. I want to see something that gets this man in the open space out of the Bengals this week. Because I think ultimately he's kind of your X factor. He's your Jamar Chase factor that you had his rookie year where they just weren't quite prepared for him. Draw some things up. Give him a chance to beat this defense because he has all the abilities in the world to do it. He is a heck of a player. He's a talent that can be utilized in that way. I'd love to see them scheme it up. Again, picture in his first time as an OC, maybe some learning curves, maybe some things, what worked, what didn't work in his first time around. Give him a chance to learn, grow, and improve. And I think we start to see this offense open up a little bit more. It's kind of got to open up a little bit more. It's got to be focused around protecting your quarterback, getting guys like Chase Brown in the open space some more, maybe getting Zach Moss going early as well. Zach Moss, second half last week did play exceptionally well. Started to play a lot better with offense and moving the football down the field well. It was just hard for them to get a push in that first half for, Moss to make a lot of moves. And they're going to need that. They're going to need every single weapon they can get because, again, week 1, easy to overreact to everything that happened week 1. But to me, it feels like this Kansas City team just got better. They won a championship with their defense last season. They bring a lot of those championship players back, but then again the offense it just feels like it's continuing to get better and better and better. It's starting to feel like we're getting back to, years 1, 2, and 3 of Patrick Mahomes and company. When you bring in Worthy, when you got Rice taking that next big step, Kelsey obviously getting a little bit older. We'll see what kind of impact he has. And then the way Pacheco has been running the football of late. They're getting to be a scary offense once again. So seeing if the Bengals can keep up with the firepower of the Chiefs will be a big thing here. See if the Bengals, and this is ultimately what's going to, for me, dictate the football game. Seeing if the Bengals can keep up with the Kansas City Chiefs early. We've seen in the past, Bengals fall behind early. Slow starts, especially against the Chiefs, especially in the first couple games of the season. They've seen it last week. Just stagnant, 3 and out, can't move the football down the field. First couple games of the season has been the Zach Taylor special where they cannot get the ball rolling early. And I do not think you can do that against this Chiefs defense anymore. A couple years ago, sure. You give Patrick Mahomes and company a 14-point lead, a 10-point lead going into halftime. I just don't think you find a way to get back into this football game. Maybe if you get the ball in the second half, you consider it. But otherwise, I think this team it's built to clamp you down. It's built to shut you down and end the football game. We'll see what happens. It could be, again, because the Bengals do have such a ability to hold Patrick Mahomes and company to field goals, they have a way to stay in this football game. But I think ultimately, you look at this Bengals team and say, hey, they haven't proven it. They couldn't beat the Patriots. They have not proven they can get the ball rolling in the first 2 games of the season under Zach Taylor. This is game 2. To me, the Chiefs run away with this one. I'm almost worried it's the biggest win the Chiefs have had against the Bengals in years. And maybe that's a good thing for the Bengals. Hey, get the tough matchups out of the way early. Get the easier schedule later in the season when you're playing better ball. But right now, I'm going to say Kansas City. I'm going to give them 27. I'm going to give the Bengals about 17. Nonetheless, love y'all's thoughts. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.